Yeah, but they're not there. Just saying. So, we know what today is. It is Super Bowl Sunday. And I know there are some of you who could care less about football. And that's okay. Because I also know that there are some of us who are die-hard football fanatics. And we think this is one of the best days of the whole year. And regardless of your allegiance, we in Wilmington happen to be in the collective consciousness of the state of North Carolina. And so on some level, and even though I might not be able to see it at first glance, you are wearing the right colors. You are wearing the right colors. Ed Corbin, who's sitting right back there, yesterday sent me this fabulous video of a challenge that was issued between the Carolina Symphony Orchestra and the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. And the challenge is, if the Denver Broncos win, then the Carolina Symphony Orchestra conductor will wear a Peyton Manning jersey and play Hoedown. But if the game goes the other way, then the Colorado Symphony Orchestra will play Sweet Caroline, and their conductor will be wearing a Peyton jersey, right? So on one level or another, we're all a part of the collective consciousness that's celebrating football today. There are, around the world, 230 countries that are televising the game live. And when Americans were interviewed and surveyed, there were 43% of Americans who said they were definitely watching the Super Bowl. There were another additional percentage, 25%, that said, yes, we're most likely going to watch the Super Bowl. That makes 2/3 of the American population likely to watch the Super Bowl game. Imagine that. And do you think it's all about football? No, you guys are so smart. No, less than half of the people say it's about the game. Less than half. 8% of the people say it's about the halftime show. And do you know what percentage of the people watch it for the commercials? Yes. Give a guess. 25. You read the same thing. You just knew. Oh, that's one miss. She just knew. 25% of the people watch it for the commercials. And quite frankly, if you stop and think about it, do you remember the 2007 Super Bowl? Do you remember who won and what the score was? No, you probably remember the E-Trade baby. The E-Trade baby, who was very mature and made piles of money. Well, Volkswagen caught on to this, and in 2011, my all-time favorite for years and years and years was Mean Joe Green, 1979. Going down the tunnel there, going back to the locker room, and he was limping, and the kid offers him a Coke because everything goes better with Coke, and he drank the whole Coke down, and I heard the other day that he had to drink 16 Cokes to get that commercial. but I mean, that was like the quintessential television commercial for Super Bowl for years. But then this one came out because kids sell. And so the kid went around and he was dressed like Darth Vader, and he went to the wash machine, and he went to the dog, and he went to his peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and nothing ever happened, but he went out to his dad's car, and he went like this, and the car started. Oh, well, there and then you see the dad in the kitchen with his automatic starter thing, but the kid was like... It was a great commercial. Last year, this little dog won our hearts. He got lost, and the Clydesdales saved him. It was a Budweiser commercial. Budweiser commercials are the best. They're just the best. In 1995, they had 3 frogs. And the first frog just went, Bud, Bud. And eventually the second one would go, wise, Bud, wise, Bud, wise. So 25% of the people watch the game for the commercials, and I can totally understand. But the statistic I love most of all is that 20% of the people go to Super Bowl parties and watch the game to be in community, to be with each other. They, really don't care what's going on. The most important thing to them is to be together. And that's actually one of the aspects I love most about Unity of Wilmington, the way this community loves to be together. We're not a community where everybody knows everybody else's name. It may seem like that to a first-timer, but let me tell you, that's why we have name tags. We're not like Cheers. We're not like Cheers, but as a community, the love is palpable. As a community, we celebrate the windfall of prosperity. We celebrate the miracles. We celebrate the healings that people have. We celebrate babies being born. We celebrate the innate goodness and the sacred worth that each and every one of us is created with. We celebrate our oneness with God and with all of life. And we can do that not because we know all the details, not because somebody calls us up and tells us what's happening, not because we know that, but because we feel the good news. We feel the miracle of mind over matter. We feel our oneness with God. We feel that outworking of spirit in each other by the love that I say is palpable in this room. We're an amazing spiritual community. In the book of Hebrews in Christian scriptures, it says, let us consider how to inspire each other to greater love and to righteous deeds. And I think that is something that we have learned how to do, how to inspire each other. We want the best for ourselves, so we want the best for each other. We want the best for each other, so we want the best for ourselves. This is what a recovery community says about spiritual well-being. Each person's spirituality is greatly impacted by the community they are a part of and the relationships they take part in. Spiritual well-being is not a practice of isolation, but rather of affecting and involving the people around you as your own perspective is formed. Spiritual communities provide an open and safe environment to explore, learn, practice, support, and heal. And I love how a spiritual community is just like football. It's just like football. There are a couple of elements that we're going to talk about, and of course the first one I already talked about was the event itself. Whether we watch it for the game, we watch it for the company, or the commercials, we're watching it because it's our human nature to not want to be left out. We want to see things live so that when we see our friends again, we can connect with them and say, did you see that halftime thing? Did you see that play? Did you see that cute little kid? Did you see that sweet little dog? We want to be able to connect with people. So yeah, it might only show up as 20% of the people want to be in community, but really I imagine it's more and deeper than that. The second element about football is it's about the environment. You don't want to go to a Super Bowl party in a dirty house. So the first thing you do is you clean your environment. And once your environment is clean, then you decorate like a crazy man. You put the pennants up on the wall. You make sure that the paper plates and the napkins you buy are the right colors. You make sure that you have strategically placed your throws and your pillows with the right logos all around the house, and you have a super comfortable couch to sit on. Even kids who go to Super Bowl parties don't want to sit on the floor. They need comfortable, cushy chairs, just like we have at Unity of Wilmington. And you need a big screen. You need a big screen. Now, Christian churches that are more fundamental than we are very often have services on a Sunday night. This is true, yes? Yep. Yes, so the preachers and the pastors, they got smart and they figured out that if they preached a quick message, then they could invite everybody to watch in community on the big screens in their sanctuaries. Well, in 2007, the NFL got mad. Why did they get mad? because the churches were profiting on showing the Super Bowl. They were taking a collection. I mean, they gave a sermon, so they took a collection. So the NFL said, you can't do that. That's a no-no. And then the churches said, let's get reasonable, and we'll contribute to the drive to show market share and that people are, the ratings and that people are really watching. So they came into a new agreement and said, now if you're in a fundamental Christian church, you can still go to your service on Sunday night and see the Super Bowl. But if you're seeing the Super Bowl at home or in a private place, it's the TV. There are more TVs sold the day before the Super Bowl than there are on Black Friday. And in 2014, 4 million televisions were sold just before Super Bowl 48, which, if you recall, was the Broncos against the Seahawks, and the Seahawks beat the Broncos by the largest margin of upset there has ever been recorded, 43-8. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. The third thing is the eating. The eating. Super Bowl Sunday is the second largest consumption of day of food in the United States after Thanksgiving. Yeah, 325 million gallons of beer, 28 million pounds of chips, 8 million pounds of guacamole, and 1.25 billion chicken wings. This gastronomic consumption happens at the party. And why are we at the party? To be with people. To be with people. So once again, eating brings us back to community. And Super Bowls, quite frankly, can be more fun than Thanksgiving, because it is a community of choice. You know what I mean? It is a community of choice. At Thanksgiving, we go to be with family, which may or may not be fun and may or may not be comfortable. But on the Super Bowl, we get to be with our friends that we really like. That we really, really like. So we get to be in community. Spiritual congregations are unique social institutions in that their membership cuts across the entire life course. No other social institution regularly brings together the very old and the very young and everyone in between, except for once a year on Super Bowl Sunday. I was at Walmart yesterday looking for my sweatshirt, which I found at Target. But there was this little kid who couldn't have been more than 7 years old, and they were so proud to have their Panther jersey on. They were so proud. And that's all about cross ages coming together in community, just like our spiritual community. Well, one YouTube led to another, Ed, thank you so much, yesterday. And I watched another YouTube that was about that was designed to inspire the Panther players. It was 6 minutes and 44 seconds of inspirational quotes, one right after another. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I've never seen so much inspiration in 6 minutes and 44 seconds. I don't even do that in my 17-minute talk. I was so impressed. But here are some of them. Limits like fears are often just an illusion. Now, Michael Jordan is a hometown kid. He's from right here in Wilmington. He grew up here, graduated from Laney High School. Limits like fears are often just an illusion. Jimmy Valvano was an NCAA basketball coach, and in 1993 he was speaking at the ESPY Awards ceremony, and he said this: "Get up and don't ever give up." And what he was talking about was his cancer experience. He said, "Cancer can take away my physical abilities, but it cannot touch my mind. It cannot touch my heart. And it most definitely cannot touch my soul." Keep Pounding came from an inspirational speech by Sam Mills, who was a player and then a coach for the Panthers. And in 2004, he gave this impassioned speech to the team, and Keep Pounding took a hold. It became a mantra for the team. Keep Pounding was the inspiration for a Cancer Research Institute fund that is called Keep Pounding. And at the beginning of every home game, the Panthers start beating those drums. And if you know anything about spiritual community, when drumming is happening, all of our consciousness comes into alignment. Marianne Williamson was the minister of Unity Renaissance in Detroit until 2002. And they read this entire quote in that video, and I'd like you to read it with me, please. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. What a beautiful consciousness to be in community with. There are three things that I think the Panthers did in order to get to the Super Bowl today. And there are three things that we can do in order to affect spiritual transformation in our lives. The first one is desire. To have a desire to have something, to have a desire to be something, to have a desire for a way of being. Vince Lombardi, who's probably the greatest football coach, professional football coach of all times. He coached for the Green Bay Packers and who else? The Redskins. Just stand up and take a look at his Redskin shirt right there. The Redskins. Yeah, that's Vince Lombardi. He said the difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. And what he's pointing to is number two, the discipline it requires. The application of discipline achievement requires. The discipline that spiritual transformation requires. Physical conditioning is not reached through any shortcuts. And neither is spiritual transformation. It takes a continual application of principle. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, would call this mental conditioning. And he would say through the foundational principles of unity and the foundational spiritual principles that we all share, it is prayer and meditation that creates our mastery over mental conditioning. When we use affirmative prayer, use the power of our words, our mind comes into alignment with the divine. When we sit in the silence in meditation, our mind comes into alignment with the divine, and then we are open to make choices that lead to our highest and best. Vince Lombardi also said this, once a man has made a commitment to a way of life, he puts the greatest strength in the world behind him. It is something called heart power. Once a man has made this commitment, nothing will stop him short of success. And then step three is to bask. To bask in the spiritual demonstration of principle. To bask in the joy of healed relationships. To bask in the achievement of better health. To bask in the reception of our abundant prosperity. To bask is to celebrate. And do you know how Cam celebrates? Do you know? Do you know? He does this hip-hop dance thing called the dab. D-A-B, desire, application, bask. It goes like this, right? It goes like this. Are you with me? Okay? Here we go. Again. Okay. Dab is easy. Desire, apply, and bask. Yes, this is probably what got the Carolina Panthers to where they are. It really is. It really is. But it's also what can get us to the spiritual transformation our hearts so deeply desire. So deeply desire. We're going to sing our way into meditation, and then Nikki will lead us.